SCP-343, guys.
343
God
was
by the
standing
rubber.
just behind 239.
Okay.
His face was knit in concentration.
Mm-hmm.
The old
Trying
man's
to
nose
figure her
had
out?
a drop of blood forming just below the left
Oh.
nostril,
This is a
slowly
very
running
interesting
down
SCP.
over the crest of his lip and dropping down onto his shirt. Hello everybody, I'm the Rubber.
Hey, Rubber.
Today we bring you SCP Foundation
Yeah,
Safe Class Object.
Turns out he's a friendly god and claims to be God. But
SCP-343, colloquially nicknamed God by the staff of SCP Foundation, is an older man. He is a humanoid in appearance, but with apparent omnipotence.
yeah,
According to the Foundation, although 343 looks like an old man, his features could appear differently to each observer. 343 claimed to be the creator of the universe.
Right.
When asked to prove it, he laughed, walked through the wall of the chamber, and returned seconds later with a hamburger in his hand. When the doctor returned for a second visit, the previously bare cell had been furnished into a larger
stacked
room,
up, boy.
one that embraced
made
a
himself
fantastical Old
very
English type of style,
Mm-hmm.
and seemed many times larger than it did from the exterior.
That's crazy, huh?
343 was discovered walking the streets of Prague. He was detained after a staff member witnessed him disappear from the street, only to reappear a short time later on a rooftop. 343 is detained willingly in his chamber, as containment has proved impossible.
He likes to visit with the staff.
343 resides in a 6.1 meter by 6.1 meter room at Minimal Security Site 17. He should be brought any items he requests and visited by at least one staff member each day because he likes company.
682 had some interesting things to say about
precautions or required clearances are unnecessary due to the nature of 343. SCP-343 greatly enjoys speaking with people.
He likes visiting.
And seems to have a knowledge of all topics. Visiting
I bet you'd be cool to
343
talk
has
with
become
him.
a daily event for many
Like a
of the
good
Foundation's
conversationalist,
staff
you know?
members. And most of them have reported feeling happier after each
Kind of
visit.
like those cool old boys
Since
that you meet
343 has been
rocking on the
rather
front
harmless
porch,
thus far,
talking about the good
all
old
staff
days.
have been allowed access. According to SCP Tales, it was believed that 343 is the one who mentored SCP-239, allowing her to master her powers and create ways. SCP-239 is a small girl with the ability to do whatever she expresses a will to do, as long as she is conscious.
I've never
If she can see it, she can change it. Hence, as a method of controlling 239, the Foundation has put her in a coma. However, SCP-239 later developed a complete resistance to the drugs the Foundation had used to keep her comatose. To stop her from reawakening, the director of SCP Foundation was forced to request the O5 Council for the immediate release of Dr. Alto Clef from his confinement, and immediately assigned him to this case. Dr. Clef was given access to any materials he required.
A gun?
All personnel were to assist Dr. Clef by any and all non-carnal means. Clef walked into the Victorian-styled study and smiled at the fragrance of pipe smoke and at the sight of old books. The old man was seated in a high-backed chair with a hardbound copy of Don Quixote open in his lap. The old man looked up, startled surprise, before smiling. Dr. Clef. Hello, 343. Oh, please. No numbers between friends.
Oh, there you go.
We
Friendly
both
boy.
know what you are. I've never said anything about you. Not to anyone. Nor have I recommended your termination. Mainly because you stayed at level 3 and never posed a significant threat. You remember me from the GOC then? Geneva? 1989? And you remember that you owe me a favor.
The Global Occult
Doctor.
Coalition.
I remember.
So he knows something about God?
There's another type green. This one has progressed to level 4. I'm very old now, Doctor. I'm not sure how useful I can be.
Oh boy,
Sometimes
quit playing.
I look for books, but I can't remember their names. And they're just not there anymore.
You're losing a little bit
Just the other day, a young man came in here to ask me about something.
You slipping
And I
a little
forgot
bit,
he was
God?
here. And then he wasn't.
How is
Just
that
gone?
possible?
And I can't remember him. No one wants to say anything. Your aid will be necessary.
Is he?
I am a man of honor, Doctor.
Dementia?
I
Is
will
that
do
possible
whatever you
for
need.
somebody omnipotent?
Days later, Dr. Clef appeared in SCP-239's containment. He was looking through the steel, attempting to get a glimpse at 239's sleeping form.
Okay.
He watched the fading phantasms of her flicker about the room and scratching at the walls.
Wow.
He turned and picked up the thin helmet, strapping it to his head. The body armor was a little bulkier than he'd anticipated, but it fit well enough. He pulled on the gloves, fingered the purple gun underneath his jacket, and felt through his pockets until he found the tiny box containing his emergency backup. He grinned and picked up a key card, sliding it into a control panel in front of the glass.
And that's gonna let her go,
He flipped the switches all down to their off position and pulled out the revolver, bringing it up to point at 239, who was slowly waking up. Clef was running very quickly.
What the heck?
He could feel her back there, floating somewhere.
Wow.
He risked a glance backward, watching the floors buckle into water and piss, dirt and air. He hoped she would be off balance enough from the medications that she would be less capable, less able to affect the environmental changes on the universe. He was quite sure it was a pointless hope now. He rounded the corner, and the walls slid into chunks of burning human flesh. The smell of human flesh began to turn his stomach
She's like an acid trip, dude.
Uncomfortably. One more turn, and he'd be at ground zero. Another 10 feet. 9.
So God
8,
helped.
7. He burst through the doors. Where's 343? The doors opened slowly. The being that floated through them didn't look like it was his or had ever been a little girl.
That thing looks evil.
Years of atrophy had turned her limbs into spindly wires of flesh wrapped around bone.
Crazy.
She wasn't able to lift them. She couldn't even turn her head. The tubes that had hung out of her arms were now crawling over her body like centipedes.
Oh my God.
She opened her mouth, trying to say something,
but she couldn't.
But only a gurgle came out. She looked at Clef and gurgled again, louder, angrily.
Oh, she's pissed.
343 was standing just behind 239, his face knit in concentration. The old man's nose had a drop of blood forming below the left nostril, slowly running down over the crest of his lip and dropping onto his shirt. The girl screamed in rage, and 343 cried out, staggered by the changes she was forcing into the world. The drugs in her system were quickly dissipating, with her control over the world around her returning. 239 turned the air into chlorine for a moment. Just a moment before 343 could stop her. 343
so they're battling it out.
On the floor, ears bleeding. His knotted hands were clenched
resisting though,
as his foe turned for the moment from Clef to float toward him. It was almost beautiful to watch. Clef thought, stopping for an instant to observe what he hoped was a rare circumstance. The distance between them crackled as the hovering female changed things.
Can you imagine,
the laws of physics and existence?
Just like raw power meeting like that? God!
It was like watching a petulant child throw her toys to the floor.
Right.
While her patient grandfather picked them back up.
What?
Clef edged around near the door, raising the revolver again.
Just in case.
He fired.
Oh, he's shooting.
Chunks of flesh were ripped from her body and thrown behind her to the mirror.
Oh my God.
She screamed as the cancer started to form almost instantly under her flesh. Don't care much for that, do you, little girl? Clef dropped the gun and tackled her before she could recover, hitting her tiny waist sharply and pushing her toward the mirror, grasping SCP-093 and shoving. They fell into a strange field.
Oh, the disc!
And smells of emptiness. The girl was rolling on the ground, willing herself up off the ground pitifully. Clef stood nearby, knocking the bits of wheat and grass off his armor. He walked over and forced her body over. Sorry, dearie. Different world, different rules. Finally, he managed to knock her out.
Wow.
As she loses consciousness, her eyes fully lost in the pleasant emptiness of oblivion.
So all that time, God was actually just there to provide a distraction so Clef could bring her to another dimension? Dude, that is so cool. I actually reacted to the disc and God before, 2 different SCP videos that I did or that I reacted to. And the disc video was really, really cool. The God video was from Illustration, and it talked about him in a more general sense. This was a really, really cool tale to listen to, though, guys. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Make sure to check out the rubber right there, as well as a couple other rubber reactions that I did. Thanks so much for watching. Always, this is Zueljin signing off. We'll see you next time.